Welcome back, runners. Jack, VivaLaDoctor here. I've been wanting to dive in for a bit now and help the community with the concept of the runner shell. But previously that was impossible more or less since I'm under NDA. However, I will say recent comments made by Julia Nardin and John Goff, both developers on Marathon, on the runner shells alleviates this and I think allows me to explore some of their lore and maybe help to clarify again what these shells actually are. Starting off, I think it is important to state that the term runner shell is a relatively new addition to Marathon. During the April Alpha, this distinction didn't exist. The biomata were simply referred to as runners. This earlier classification may also have contributed to the impression that these runners were more grounded as fully fledged characters with personality and a backstory. I also think it would be helpful to review the state of the game during the alpha. I think this is going to provide us with some valuable context in understanding the original runner concept and how we arrived at the present term, runner shells. In the alpha version of the game, there were 4 distinct runners: Locust, Glitch, Blackbird, and Void. At this point, these characters were still referred to only as runners, and each possessed a unique background and occupation, helping to define who they were within the game's lore. Blackbird's origin, while classified, had the role of a tactile strategist. Glitch's origin consists of being a Martian freedom fighter, and had the role of a combat anarchist. Locust's origin was that of an ex-UESC Special Operations, with the role of a combat specialist, and Void, like Blackbird, had an unknown origin but retained the role of a shadow assassin. While all 4 were described as freelance runners, their individual origins and roles help to affirm the notion that these were established characters within the Marathon universe. Descriptions like Martian freedom fighter and ex-UESC Special Operations, while they could be taken as a pluralized term referring to a group or faction, I think instead sound like the runner is telling you, I'm Glitch, and I'm a Martian freedom fighter. While this is never explicitly said, I think it's what most people assumed that the game implied. During and after the April Alpha, there was significant resistance within the community to the adoption of a hero shooter approach, and I was one of those voices. Within that side of the community, players wanted the runners to be an avatar that the player could fully inhabit. For many, the hero model clashed with this core fantasy we had come up with. Personally, my dissatisfaction with the hero model I think stems from previous experiences with games such as Overwatch or recently Marvel Rivals. I also am not necessarily attracted to a game where you have to play through the game as a specific character, except Red Dead Redemption 2. That game is peak.
And forgive me if I slip and stab you in the face.
In any case, hero shooters can be enjoyable, but I just think they hit better when the player already has an attachment to the characters. Personally, I prefer games that allow me to explore a world, a story, a setting through my own perspective, or that of a silent protagonist. For example, in Destiny, you play as your own guardian. You are able to customize your look and armor, as well as your class and build to fit your playstyle. In Halo Reach, you are Noble 6, a Spartan, and yes, while they are a set character, you can customize their look and feel through the various armors and cosmetics available to you in-game. In the original Marathon from 1994, you embodied the security officer, a silent protagonist with presence but no defined voice, making it easy to project yourself into the character. With the announcement of the new Marathon game, fans were excited by the prospect of regaining that level of customization around your runner that Bungie had given players in their previous titles. The runners shown in the 2023 teaser trailer, along with concept art from artists like Joe Cross at Bungie at the time, and the assumption that Bungie always gives a lot of creative control to the players regarding their characters, I think fueled the expectation that players would be able to create their own runners. After the alpha, though, a lot of players voiced their opinions that they wanted their runner to feel personal and unique to themselves. And having predefined characters as runners definitely shifted a player's experience away from self-insertion into the game's world and lore, and instead asked the player to view the universe through the perspectives of the set characters. In response, the community suggested a broad range of ideas, from implementing full Destiny 2 style customization with modular abilities, to transforming the runners into neutral husks devoid of any personality, and everything in between. But at the end of the day, it all boiled down again to players wanted to insert themselves into the game. They wanted to embody their own runner fantasy. Now, while much of my discussion has focused on the negatives of a hero shooter or why the community didn't appreciate that approach, I will say it is important to acknowledge that there are legitimate advantages to this model. Hero shooters excel in delivering immediate readability and predictability during gameplay. Players can quickly identify opponents and understand the abilities available to each character simply by looking at them. This enhances tactical decision-making and moment-to-moment awareness within a run. And Bungie has experimented with aspects of the hero model before, notably in Destiny, which features 3 distinct classes. Those are Titan, Warlock, and Hunter, each of them with their own unique subclasses. However, I will argue in Destiny's PvE and PvP modes, the importance of readability hasn't been important for quite some time. Initially, with the 3 main classes, and only 1 or 2 subclasses each, it was possible to read characters and understand what you were dealing with. But over time, with the addition of new abilities, weapons, and armor, and the expansion of subclasses, readability has become a lot harder. And in Destiny's PvP, the fast-paced nature of the game makes readability almost impossible. Destiny's PvP is an arena shooter model. There are plays you can make for sure. You can hide and peek a corner with a good sniper vantage, run a melee Titan build, or just play Invis Hunter. Additionally, player builds are highly unpredictable unless you view a player's Guardian profile to see their chosen subclass, aspects, armor, and weapons. And while you could make an educated guess about a class's build based on prevailing meta trends, predictions like that are rarely fully accurate. I would argue, though, that unpredictability within an extraction shooter is not a flaw. I would actually call it a feature that adds intensity and excitement to the PvP experience. The randomization of builds means that no encounter is entirely predictable. This increases tension and elevates the unknown factor. This unpredictability is a core aspect that resonates personally with me, and I think contributes to the thrill of the extraction shooter gameplay loop. Now, I do want to say, I haven't ever been against the characters having abilities. In the alpha, I actually thought that was a cool and unique mechanic within the extract genre. You know, they operated in a way where you couldn't just spam abilities over and over again like you could with certain builds in Destiny. There were significant cooldowns to each, and it felt like if you activated them at the right time, they would give you the advantage over an enemy team, and potentially help you sway the fight in your direction. In my opinion, complete and total predictability diminishes the excitement and the tension that makes extraction shooters compelling. And after the alpha, I wanted a different experience, one that allowed me to feel tension and excitement. I will say, while the teamfights were enjoyable gunplay-wise, the game was still lacking the immersion. It was lacking the tension that I felt in other extract shooters, and I didn't want to feel that. Marathon's world and lore is rich and exciting, and I wanted to be immersed in it. I wanted my runs in Raid to feel like they mattered to me as a player. not just to the character I was controlling. I felt that true immersion into the runner fantasy could really only be achieved through having a fully customizable character. And I'm happy to say that I was wrong. Enter the term runner shells, introduced in the December 2025 ViDoc. This provided a new framework for understanding player identities within Marathon. Julia Nardin explained this very well in the December 2025 ViDoc, so I'm going to go ahead and play that clip real quick for us to listen to.
They are not people. You are the person. You go into that shell and adopt the personality matrix that is specifically designed to help you do the thing that you need to do. And you've been hired by these factions to come to Tau Ceti to scavenge it for anything that might be of value.
Now, this change finally cemented the fact that we are our own runners, and that the characters were no longer real people, but instead just shells or husks that we downloaded our consciousness into in order to accomplish our tasks down on the surface of Tau Ceti 4. While this is a fantastic pivot away from the original hero/grounded character model, I have seen many folks in the community still confused by the name changes of the characters from their alpha versions into the correct nomenclature for their class archetypes. Upon the reveal for the Marathon Collector's Edition though, members of the community noticed that the runner's name on the box was denoted as Thief/Icon. This was weird, because as far as public information went, both the December and January ViDocs referred to this runner only as Thief. Icon had never been mentioned, at least not publicly. A user on X by the handle @CoolRunnersClub posed questions to John Goff, the narrative lead for Marathon, asking, quote, "Question, if there was a collector's edition for this runner, would it say Destroyer/Locus on the side, like Thief/Icon? Cheers," end quote. To which John Goff responded simply by saying, quote, "Yep." The Cool Runners Club account then created a follow-up post sharing Goff's response and asked, quote, "Anybody know what the second part is officially called?" Julia Nardin, the creative director on Marathon, responded with a more full breakdown of the naming scheme. Julia wrote, quote, "Destroyer is the model. Locus is the series. For example, Destroyer shells were first designed for aggressive conflict resolution. Locus is a series of that shell type, trained on the live fire experience of the UESC soldiers, and designed to support the user's combat instincts," end quote. Julia continued the explanation in a second comment by saying, "Its vocalization pattern, the wonderful JB Tadina, is an amalgamation of combat field leaders tuned to deliver confidence under duress. Traxxas offers an earnable Traxxas-themed style for Locus shells called Anti-Caution that can be earned in the Codex. This lore drop from the devs gave us a new origin for the Destroyer shell and the Locus series, and essentially confirmed that the other shells will have new or updated origins as well. I will note that the shell itself is said to be trained on live fire experiences. This statement is most likely referencing the personality matrix that you adopt when you transfer your consciousness into a shell. I think this is a cool synergy between the old idea for the grounded characters and allowing the player to still play themselves within these shells. Most likely your consciousness doesn't get overwritten, but I would assume is modified by these personality matrices to maybe bring out or enhance certain abilities or emotions. To me, this is such a cool piece of sci-fi lore, and I'm stoked to see where they end up taking this. It also seems like we may get different shell series within a class archetype on down the line. Further discussion within this thread revealed a series associated with the triage archetype. When asked about the triage series, Julia responded that it is called AUX, which likely stands for auxiliary. This information has finally provided a clearer public breakdown of the full names and archetypes for each runner shell. Destroyer archetype, Locus series. Vandal archetype, Glitch series, Assassin archetype, Void series, Triage archetype, Ox series, Recon archetype, Blackbird series, and Rook. Rook currently is just called Rook. There has not been any public denotion of whether it's an archetype. There's no confirmation of if it's a series. Any information on Rook hopefully will come out soon. This structured naming system provides greater clarity around the identities and roles of each runner shell, allowing players to better understand the distinction between archetypes and the series within the game. The recent change in runner shells, I think, marks a significant shift in the game's identity. Moving away from the traditional hero shooter style, the experience now centers on the idea of you are the runner. You are the player who downloads your consciousness into this foreign shell, and now you perceive the world through your own perspective. This approach offers a more immersive and personal connection to the gameplay. The alpha version, while promising, did not capture this essence as effectively as I thought it should. While the desire for runner customization is still strongly desired by a cohort within Marathon's community, I believe the current direction in the lore stands out as a solid compromise. Given the nature of game development, such compromises are common, and this one seems to balance community expectations with fun and intriguing gameplay mechanics. All of these changes to the runner shells help to establish that, again, you are the consciousness housed within the shell. You are exploring Tau Ceti. This update establishes a pretty strong foundation for Bungie to build off of in the future, and like I said before, I'm very much intrigued to see where they will take this. Bungie has always delved into the themes of self and who you are within the universe. Do you control your own destiny? Or is your consciousness or person being puppeted by a greater entity? At this point, we have no idea, but I'm excited to understand more about who we are as runners within the Marathon universe. With that, thanks for watching. If you liked the video and want to subscribe, that would be awesome. Or if you want to interact with me over on X, my handle is @VivaLaDoctor. Again, hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you on the flip side. Deuces.